What's up, Spider fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be giving my predictions on what I think will happen in the newest Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So before I get started, I do just want to say something about the first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, because we didn't really get the chance to do a review of this movie. I actually enjoyed the way that they did everything in this, the animation style to match a comic book, and, you get like the thwip and pow and all those kind of words popping up on the screen when people are punching, etc. I like the way that they did that, and I'm glad they got the chance to make some sequels. Obviously they have Across the Spider-Verse coming up, and then I've heard there's another sequel, which I guess is technically part two of Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is coming out in 2024. And I personally think they should continue to make more movies after those as well. Maybe not just Spider-Man, maybe get this team together to make sort of a bunch of these kind of comic book movies literally designed like a comic book. I think that would be a lot of fun. But now that I've talked about the first movie in this new Spider-Man trilogy that they're doing, which was Into the Spider-Verse, now let's get into what I think is going to happen in Across the Spider-Verse. After seeing the trailer for it released online, I kind of developed some sort of theories that I kind of want to see play out in this movie, or I think it's a likely chance that they will. I've heard a lot of theories online and things like that, but I kind of just wanted to give my own thoughts on not just the trailer, but also what I think will be happening in this movie as well. First of all, I think probably the most obvious thing that is probably going to happen by the end of this movie is that the Spider-Verse, or which is the multiverse, I guess, but featuring all the Spider people, will explode, I guess, or expand out so that all the Spider people exist in the same universe now, which obviously causes issues with the multiverse overall, because now there's Spider-Man just everywhere, not just in their specific timelines. Which, if you go back to even the live action movies like the Avengers and stuff, when they've now started talking about the multiverse and everything else, and that's what they're getting into in the MCU, is all these different variant timelines with different versions of all of the characters we've seen in the past, including Spider-Man, which would be Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU. We got to see what that sort of looks like in Spider-Man No Way Home, where three different Spider-Man and a bunch of villains from those original Spider-Man movies all came into one universe, so we kind of already got a look at that. And I like that that sort of ties in with the MCU, and the way that they're doing the multiverse. And this is like a different look, sort of. It's Sony's version of, the multiverse, obviously, which is just about Spider-Man, but it kind of could tie into the MCU. And that's another thing I think will probably happen as well, which was interesting because there was this one interesting line in the trailer, I think it was the second trailer actually, where I think it's Spider-Man 2099 or whatever his character is known as in this, that's played by Oscar Isaac. He's apparently the villain in this movie. I guess he wants to do something with the Spider-Verse, like, I don't know, tie it all together, or he's trying to fix it or whatever, and he ends up fighting against Miles, is what I'm gathering from this. But he says an interesting line where he said, "Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and that that young kid from Earth 19999, which is the first time that these Spider-Man movies have actually referenced something that happened in the MCU. So I thought that was kind of a neat little tie-in, and that does prove that these are actually connected to the multiverse that we're seeing in the MCU, which is why I think a lot of things are going to start tying into, this Kang dynasty that's coming up in the MCU. Now, is that necessarily a good thing, to be tying it into the MCU when it's kind of been the first movie was its own thing, separate from the Marvel or the MCU Spider-Man and all that stuff? I think it will still work that way, and I think it would be interesting to see how they would pull that off if they were to connect it to the MCU. I think this opens the door for some of these animated Spider-Men to show up in the MCU, maybe in, Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, or their fight with Kang and things like that. I think it'd be interesting to see how they tie into it. Would they still be animated in the MCU? I think that'd be kind of funny to see, like, the heroes having to interact with animated characters, which I guess is technically what they do anyways. Like, if you think about it, the actors are talking to mostly CGI people next to them, like what Groot is or Rocket or whatever. So they've kind of already experienced that. But I think it'd be fun to see whatever Spider people are left after, this movie and then beyond the Spider-Verse and stuff, like especially this Miles Morales um, or like Spider Ham or Spider Noir and all of them that we saw from the first, or from Into the Spider-Verse. I think it'd be interesting to see them in live action form, because that would be the first time we actually get to see Miles Morales in the MCU. And speaking of that, I think in Across the Spider-Verse, I think we're going to see some cameos from some of the live action Spider-Men, or at least maybe some characters from those specific movies. Like either that, or we'll get an animated version of that Spider-Man. So like Tom Holland might voice a Spider-Man from this or voice a version of his live action Spider-Man that shows up in Across the Spider-Verse or something like that. I think that would be kind of a nice way to sort of end this movie and transition into the third one, and then you kind of tie all the Spider-Men together in this shared Sony and Marvel Studios, universe that they've created in order to have Spider-Man exist, like with the Avengers and stuff. I think at the very least that would make for a nice like post-credit scene or something with like one of the live-action Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire's or Tom Holland or even Andrew Garfield's, like making an appearance in this. We've already seen an animated version of Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the What If series on Disney Plus, but that was for like the one episode. I think it was the Zombies one. He was in that, so it's not out of the realm of possibility to have him voice that character again, have that Spider-Man appear in this universe, because we've seen from the trailer there are going to be like thousands of Spider-Men all existing together. There's this like realm that they all exist in or something, where they're all teaming up to sort of save the multiverse, I guess. So I don't think that's too far out of the realm of possibility, and it would be a cool little callback for some of the fans who enjoyed the live action Spider-Man, as well as this new animated style of Spider-Man. And also maybe we'll even see some of the like original Spider-Man from like those old cartoons that there used to be, the old Spider-Man cartoons and stuff. That would be kind of cool as well. It's interesting to see all these different versions of Spider-Man, and I think it'd be cooler to add in the live action Spider-Man as well, and especially if that ties in with the Madam Web movie that's supposed to come out. I'm not sure when exactly, but that's supposed to feature all these different Spider-Men or something. It's like this web of destiny that they're all connected to because they all share the same spider sense, I guess is what it is. So anytime there's danger, like basically I guess is what it's saying is the spider sense that they all feel, they all have the same one, I guess. That's what every Spider-Man shares, that same thing. They all have that power. So I think that would be a nice way to sort of tie into that as well and show that Sony is making their own multiverse without it necessarily tying into or Marvel Studios multiverse saga that they're on now, but also still managing to have Tom Holland Spider-Man be a part of the MCU later down the road and bring in a couple other Spider-Men as well. I think it's going to make for a really fun movie-going experience, and maybe we'll even see these characters from, like I mentioned earlier, from this animated one in live action form as well. Like actually get Nicolas Cage to play Spider-Man Noir or something. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do with this. I just think it's going to be interesting how if they do a crossover with these and the live action ones. And then one final theory that I have, I mentioned about the live action Spider-Man appearing in this movie. Well, what if we also get some live action like MCU characters making a cameo in this movie as well, or even versions of those, like I said, animated versions of those characters. I mentioned that Oscar Isaac's Spider-Man that he's voicing mentions Doctor Strange. Well, what if Doctor Strange appears in this movie to sort of deal with now a rift in the multiverse that might come at the end of this movie or something? Like he's the person who's dealing with that sort of thing now. We might even see like the Time Variance Authority from the Loki series, or even a variant of Loki appearing in here. Like anybody that deals with the time travel and multiversal stuff that we've seen in the MCU so far might start appearing in this to sort of figure it all out or put it back together. More specifically, Doctor Strange, especially because he's the one that's sort of dealing with all that. And of course, the biggest threat to the multiverse is going to be Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. So what if he makes an appearance in this movie as well? I think that would be like really shocking because you wouldn't expect that from this movie that pretty much so far we've seen isn't actually connected to the MCU quite yet. So I think it would sort of shock the fans a little bit, or anybody going to see this movie, if Kang made an appearance in this. I think they can go any route they want with this, and I think it's going to be fun regardless of what they do, whether or not they can actually tie it into the MCU's multiverse saga, or if they just keep it as its own separate thing, you know, like they're building their own sort of Spider-Man multiverse thing. I think either way it works. I think either way it's going to be fun. And I'm going to enjoy the movie regardless. I'm looking forward to the sequel. I did enjoy the first one, as I said, and I'm sure Beyond the Spider-Verse will be even better. So that might even be really where you get all your crossovers as well. I'll probably do a video about that closer to when that comes out next year in 2024. But let me know what you guys think. What are some of your theories about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? What do you think is going to happen in the movie or by the end of the movie, etc.? Let me know all that down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. We plan on doing a review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so keep an eye out for that as well. Thank you for watching this video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.